Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the 4th annual ASU Data Conference. We are so excited you're here. I'm Brandy Falls, and joining me to host this morning is the impeccable Sam Becker. Good morning, Sam.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Samantha Becker here, UTO's Executive Director for Creative and Communications. Good to see you all.
Good morning. So thanks, everybody. I hope you're all excited and ready to help us mash some monsters. We have been invaded by tons and tons of scary data monsters, but don't fear. We have an amazing lineup of monster hunters, conference presenters, who are here to help us overcome these battles and prevail. So grab your favorite dice, get ready for a whole week of amazing programming. So Sam, do you want to break down the week for us just a little bit and show us what's up?
I would be happy to. So I know we're all gathered here today, right now, and we're going to have an awesome keynote. We're going to hear from our CIO, Lev, in a little bit, and more from the conference planning team. But today is just the beginning of our hero's journey together. So while today will go from now until noon, tomorrow and through the week is going to be a little bit different than today. November 17th through the 20th, every day, there's going to be amazing breakout sessions from 9 a.m. To 11:20 a.m. So the conference is very much designed for you to start your morning, set the tone, learning and being inspired, and then getting on with the rest of your day. We will conclude our journey here together on November 20th, where there will be some breakout sessions, but then a closing plenary where we will all be back together just like this. Brandy, what could people expect this week from our monsters?
Thanks, Sam. We have some pretty incredible monsters ahead of us. And all of the monsters actually align to the subjects that our wonderful monster hunter presenters are going to be sharing with us. So we have Dorumel the documenter, who's going to be aligned with our data governance and documentation sessions, and Vlad the visualizer, who will be kind of highlighting all of our visualization sessions. Fun fact about our monsters, every one of them was hand drawn by our own Kristen Kennedy's daughter, Brianna. So some amazing artwork there, really helping to bring our super exciting monsters to life. But what are monsters without heroes? And that's why y'all are here, to be our monster slaying data heroes. And so we invite you, if you don't already have a character alignment, to come in and check out the Discover Your Data Persona by taking the handy quiz that we've created, and check out the details on these different character types and what specific skills and abilities they bring to addressing some of the challenges posed by these data monsters.
So the ASU data community does a lot of work and collaboration together every day throughout the year. But really, this is one of the only rare opportunities for the entire data community across ASU. These are data professionals, data enthusiasts. These are many, many staff, but of course, students. We have faculty, university leaders as well. So this is our chance to all get together. And so this is a really special time, especially in the midst of a pandemic where social connection is more important than ever. And so sort of to set the stage, we have some overall event goals. I mentioned that I'm coming to you from UTO's Creative and Comms team. I'm joined by my colleague, Erin Morrow. And when we put events together, it's always with sort of an approach in mind where we're all going to get something out of it in addition, to all the amazing, breakout sessions you'll be inspired by. So we're all here to connect with each other, hopefully on a deeper or a different level than we get to in our day-to-day work. We're going to enrich this entire ASU data community. If you're in our Slack ASU data community, it's close to 1,000. So nearly 1,000 people in this community. We're going to build that community and bolster it. We're going to learn and upskill today, new tools, new methods, different pathways. And then, of course, we hope whatever's learned, discussed, and shared here today goes back into the data ecosystem of ASU to inform all of our work, all of our initiatives, and everything as we look into the future and shape that together. I also know that what is a data monster slayer without some prizes, right? Or some earned credentials, some bows in her quiver. So how are we going to be earning some badges here today, Brandy?
Right. So we do have several badges lined up, and we actually have a super badge that goes if you attend specific sessions aligned to specific monsters, and you want to go ahead and get some recognition and be able to show off that, hey, I slayed this monster. I did some serious data wrangling. I learned a lot. I leveled up my skill in this particular area. You'll have the opportunity to submit some demonstration of that learning through Badger and through our partnership there. And going through a couple of these badges along with defining your persona and doing that data persona quiz to find out what kind of hero you are gives you the opportunity to earn the coveted data hero badge. So check on the Slack channel, and I believe we have the link to that site where you can look at the forums after you've checked out some of the wonderful sessions that our presenters are going to be sharing with us. So speaking of data heroes, next up, we're going to be hearing from one of our favorite data heroes. He is an innovator. He's an educator. He's a visionary. He is a self-described chief bottle washer and breaker of bread. And he is absolutely a monster slayer extraordinaire. And in his free time, he's our CIO. So let's hear from the amazing, incredible, monster slaying Lev Gonick.
Hey, Brandy.
Good morning, Lev.
Good morning. You can make introductions for me anytime. That's a lot of fun. Good morning to you, and good morning to everybody who's joining us. I'm looking forward to this time together with you all.
Oh, yes. And Lev, welcome. We're so glad to see you. We decided to do things maybe just a tad differently this morning, if it's okay with you.
Sure. Anything you'd like to do. My time is your time.
Well, anything is actually the operative word here. So thank you for bringing that up. So those of you who might just maybe spend a little bit of time on Reddit, I don't know, my husband, my own partner in monster slaying, is a data professional. And I see him on Reddit upvoting or probably downvoting a lot. So I have to wager that a few of you might be on Reddit as well and maybe familiar with the series Ask Me Anything. Just a couple examples up here in front of you of some Ask Me Anythings that I have definitely not participated in personally. So we're gonna have some fun this morning, Lev, and we're gonna do, instead of an Ask Me Anything, we're gonna do an Ask Lev Anything. Is that okay?
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm game.
Okay, perfect. So everyone here in the audience, we have a few questions that have been submitted already for Lev. Thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and ask those, but the jig is not yet up. There's still time. So whether it's in the ASU Data Community Slack, in the chat right here on Zoom, or in the Twitter universe, be asked with ASU Data Conference. Be asking any questions, any burning data questions you have for our chief bottle washer, CIO, and we will hopefully be getting to them imminently. So Brandy, thanks for kicking us off. Lev has now entered the chat. So what is our first question?
Thanks, Sam. So Lev, one of the questions that we received up front is, what are some tangible ways that data is being leveraged across ASU and our community?
Well, that's a softball, Brandy, if I ever heard it. I guess especially for this community, it does strike me, obviously, that this meeting, this gathering is different than in prior years because of this bug that we can't seem to get rid of. But managing COVID at ASU is in significant measure made possible by consistently engaging with the data analytics community. Every day, there are reports generated from across the data analyst professional community that have helped ASU, I think, not only do an outstanding job of helping the executive of the university manage COVID with all of its complexities better than I think most anywhere, we're also being able to use those data to actually advance the research behind and the epidemiology associated with it. So the first part of it, Brandy, is just, the whole COVID period is a massive data question and a massive data challenge. And I'm super, on the UTO side, daily we're taking data from the health check and sharing that. We're taking data on the density of personnel across the campus by using Wi-Fi connections, and all of that's being pulled together by the teams, and we're sharing that, for decision makers to better understand the complexities. But if I could just add one other sort of quick example, one of the things that I'm most proud of myself is that over the last several years, there's been great partnerships formed to really offer tangible ways that data can be supporting the most important mission-related activities of the university, and perhaps the one where UTO has been working with the Provost's office, and in particular working with Sheila Ainley and her team, is really on creating dashboards for the university to really understand how to focus in on and support student success. And that activity, there are retention dashboards that have been set up. In fact, I do believe you guys are actually going to have a session, looking at my notes here, on November 18th, day after tomorrow at 10:30. If you're interested in that, please join us. And lots of other collaborations with the Provost office to use the analytical sort of prowess of ASU to solve our own challenges. Just another quick one, there's a coaches dashboard, which we use not only to sort of gain insights in terms of how Canvas is getting utilized. I know there are about 80 different ASU online success coaches. They use that every day. But now we're also doing it with Mary Lou Fulton, with WP Carey, with Community Health Solutions Athletics. We're even doing one in partnership with Ed Plus for the Chinese language offering that we're doing in Beijing with ASU Online in Santana. So lots of focus, I would say, Brandy, in tangible ways, because most everything we've been focusing in on has been around actionable analytics, things that actually matter and around which we can take action to support student success.
Thanks, Lev. It sounds like some really, really tangible ways we're tackling some real actual data monsters in our midst. And thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Next question we have here is, what are we doing? What can we do to make data more approachable and within reach?
Well, I mean, the first is just to celebrate this now multi-year special data conference. I mean, this alone, I think, is a great opportunity to acknowledge the breadth of interest in data analytics from across the university. And so I think that intentional design of a gathering where there's just a couple of, sort of plenaries, but most of that is workshop focused to help people, is really about making data more approachable and within reach. And, there's always something to learn, unless you're Josh, in which case you've already learned it all. But I mean, there's something for everybody that's there. And it's really a chance to also do some sharing of best practices that are there. And, in the data world, as you know, one of the biggest issues, especially when you're trying to figure out the relationship between collecting the data and sharing the data, is the idea of, do I agree with your definitions of the data and the data source? So another big piece that we've been working on together across the campus, thanks to Kelly and his team, has really been focusing on Calibra as that kind of foundational tool, so that we actually have common understandings, a reference, a kind of understanding of those key data elements that are out there. And then, lots of, I would say, opportunities for people to look at each other's work, like the analytics.asu.edu website is a good example where there's a lot of information where there's, I think, better searchability now than ever before. Those would be some examples.
Awesome. Thanks, Lev. So the third question we have queued up for you is, what role will data play in shaping our post-pandemic world? So you touched on how we are using data to evaluate and assess, but how do you see it touching us as we move forward into the future?
Yeah, the only thing I would sort of just check the assumption here, Brandy, is I'm personally not convinced that there is a post-pandemic world ahead. I think we're going to be living with this pandemic, and I actually call it sort of the era or the age of pandemics coming. Now, it's not meant to scare people. It just means that we're going to have to use data and analytics to manage ourselves well into the next chapter in our collective journey together. And so data will play a huge role in that activity going forward. And one of the things that I think we've gained and gleaned because of the work we've done together through COVID and the need to use data, I would say, again, to manage COVID, and is just how important good data is. I mean, I think that is something that will persist and maybe even have a greater appreciation across the university community on the importance of the quality of data that is out there. And, again, I know that we have a keynote coming up. Tim's keynote is coming up, which is all around COVID and health data. And I think, please, we'll all be looking forward to that as well. But sort of a broader issue, because I interact with a lot of the sort of senior management of the institution, is that there is better appreciation for data literacy now, as opposed to it being kind of just wait for the one expert in my area to go find the answer. There is a kind of broader sense of our sort of the democratization of analytical engagement being of significant value that has come through the pandemic, and I trust will be with us through the next period of time. And the last piece that I would share just comes to mind here in terms of data in the next chapter going forward is really our commitment to agility and how important it's been, because this bug has created this clearly a very complex, I'm not even sure there is really a pattern there at all, but really the value of trying to engage in trying to understand the overlay of different kinds of data to help create explanatory value. What are the determinants of people's ability to manage not only the health condition, but the consequences of the social or the economic or the psychological mental health issues? What other factors come into play as we try to better understand the world going forward for ourselves? So, I think that data more than ever has longevity, and those of us and those of you who are in the data world, I think you're going to play a more and more important role in not only your contribution, but also continuing to educate the rest of us as the importance of data and data analytics.
Hey, Lev, thank you so much. Speaking of longevity, a question just came in from our amazing community of monster data slayers. What do you see as the best jobs for data analysis in the next 5 to 10 years? This is a question from Nicholas, and I'm actually going to up the ante a little and also say 25 as well.
Well, again, it seems to me, Sam, that there are multiple ways of looking at it. And now that you sort of stretch the window like way out there, I do think that there is a hugely important principle that we need to find a way to maintain, and that is human in the middle. There is an enormous power to simply machine-driven analytical work. And one of the things that we've gleaned, I think, particularly through this pandemic, is that relying on the machine alone is not going to necessarily give us the insights. There have to be human-driven hypotheses. for what is going on out there. And therefore, sort of the question of kind of the professional work that lies ahead, I do see there being a continuing and deepening citizen data science world coming, in which more and more of us are going to have not only access to the tools, but because hopefully of the work of the data analyst community, a chance to really engage in understanding the environments around us and how the environments around us contribute to any number of issues, whether again they are social determinants of dealing with the pandemic or any number of other issues that are of consequence. And so in the near term, I sort of see that being one major trend, is the significant democratization and broad digital literacy that will be out there. At the other end of it, there's no doubt in my mind that there will be continued specialization opportunities that are out there. And I think that is almost self-evident that the sort of cutting edge tools that are available today have a degree of sophistication associated with the need to be able to interpret, again, machine language and artificial intelligence. There is a need, which is highly specialized in my view, because not only is it a technical skill set, it's also the ability to blend, to integrate the contextual or the subject matter expertise with the analytical piece of it. And I see just how powerful the epidemiology community has been, and the power of them joining with, again, those who do analytical work during this period of time. That's a powerful combination, and our reliance on science, again, I think has become more and more evident. And so all of these sort of blended professions that connect analytics to subject matter expertise seem to me to be really important going forward. And certainly in the near term, those will be huge opportunities for students, as well as our professionals here at ASU to continue to grow their skills. And over the longer term, I could well see this becoming a formal literacy, right up there with, as it were, basic math and other forms of written and language literacies.
Hey, thanks so much, Lev, especially for touching on some of those skills and some of those dimensions that we don't always think about at the forefront. Another great question, and thank you, Nicholas, for that wonderful question, by the way. Another question coming from the community, the Ask Lev Anything community, is from Curtis. And he wants to know what you feel are some of the best free or open source resources and tech stacks for data sets and data viz. And as always, we will up the ante and roll the dice and ask you sort of, as with the holidays approaching, what's on your wish list in terms of tools of the future?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many important open source tools that are available for analytic work. Obviously, the whole R suite is one where, we owe it to all of you to make that available in a much more robust fashion. There are, of course, sort of flavored proprietary tools that sit on top of R, but the R Studio kinds of world that are out there seems to me to be one space where we've just begun creating value in that open stack for analytics that are out there. There are others who are probably more conversant with I than on sort of specific tools that are available in the open source community for particular point solutions that are out there. And I trust that there'll be opportunities in the chat for those people to contribute, or in the Slack channels for folks to be contributing additional open source tools that we need to be bringing together. One of the things that I would share with you is that most of the software tools in our knowledge enterprise, which deals with high performance computing, almost all of those tools are actually open source. Now, if I can just draw a connection back to the previous question, Sam, right now, those are viewed as largely highly specialized software tools. And one of the things that I think we owe it to each other to figure out is how to educate others on all of those tools that are in sort of just the knowledge enterprise, the high-end, high-performance computing, computational research, which again are drawing almost all of them on open source tools that are used for analytical techniques, to find a way to bring them into helping us solve other challenges that are being utilized in support of student success, or that are being used to advance better determinants of employee satisfaction, or other techniques that are out there. So, I mean, again, I think that that's to the question that is posed. I think that that's a really important activity set, and there's certainly a community of practice which I see reference to from time to time. It's been a couple of years since I've actually dug deep into this space, and so I'm happy to have others contribute other suggestions here or in the Slack channels.
Okay, so you heard the question back from Lev. What are your favorite open source and free tools? So, oh, and perfect. And Aaron has just posted the link to the Slack channel, by the way, for the data community in the chat for everyone to know. So Lev, while people are thinking of their favorite tools and typing them into the chat, we've had another question come in. This one's from Gustavo. Lots of interest today around the data workforce of the future, jobs of the future, and this overall sense of leveling up. So great question from Gustavo. What does one have to do necessarily? How does a data analyst level up and go from being an analyst to a database architect? So we touched on some skills and dimensions, but is there another set of skills? What's the hero's journey there, Lev?
That's a really good question. And for those of you who've kind of been reading about or been part of conversations that around the role of architects in general, it definitely is an interesting question to explore. What are the attribute sets of individuals who have deep domain expertise? Let's call that the deep analyst skill set, that allows them, in the glide path, that allows them to contribute to architecting not only things related to data analytics, but to the interconnectedness and the interplay between data structures and other structures that are of consequence. So, for example, hugely important in terms of data analytics is certainly, in other areas is around, data architecture itself, taking a look at databases and their contribution, taking a look to optimize the way computers actually, compute cycles actually optimize the number crunching activities. Data visualization is yet another area where analysts can go from, again, taking a, kind of a specialized analyst skill, and as they sort of see the glide path, trying to understand the interconnectedness of the visual representation, the interconnectedness of the various other elements in the IT stack. Those are typically individuals, and to be honest with you, there aren't that many out there. There are not that many really good ones out there, and I don't mean at ASU, I just mean in general, who can actually connect those dots that are out there and provide insights. And typically it's not a architect. And the way I've been thinking about architecture here at ASU, it's actually creating a community of practice around architects who bring deep domain expertise, but enough broad interest in the connections between one element, let's call this again data analytics, to every other element in the IT stack, whether that is the network, whether that is the database, whether that is the presentation layer, and pulling all those pieces together. And those individuals, it seems to me, are worthy of the language of being architects, because they are responsible for designing structures that can advance the institution, not in a single point environment, but for a broader consideration of the connectedness or the interplay between the various pieces and parts.
Thanks, Lev. So from architecture, we're going to go to security, which is really still at the forefront of my mind. I know our team got a chance to work on Cybersecurity Awareness Month last week, and I am now more aware than ever before. And data and security go hand in hand, especially in this, this more integrated organizational structures that, that we have for this across the university. So Daniel Palmer's question in the chat is, with more collection, use, and reliance on data at ASU comes the need for more security and responsibility. How well is ASU currently handling this? And is there any advice you'd like to give this community regarding safe handling of data? Great question, Daniel.
And it's a terrific question. And oftentimes, as is our experience in the real world, we learn by experience. And some of it is we learn from things that didn't go as well as we might have hoped. Your point, you are raising a very important and pointed issue. It's not only the amount of data that is being generated, it is the ways in which we are mashing up data from multiple sources to create new data, new indices, new algorithms. And those pieces of data alone need to be well designed in terms of the interplay of data architecture to security architecture that is out there. And again, I think I would give ASU currently, honestly, something in a kind of B range. I think we've understood the power of the analytics to help advance work that is powerful to answer questions on trying to target and support success, or it's to support engaging parts of the organization that are trying to engage prospective students to the institution. That power alone, if it's not checked or guardrails are not established to make sure that there's secure interplay there, that is a hugely important activity, and we have room to grow. And we also, just to sort of underscore a point here, it's not only in terms of our ability to secure the data sources and the derivative data sources that are generated through the powerful use of analytical tools, it's also our ability to communicate the need to assure students and alumni and those who interface with ASU that we are worthy of their digital trust, that we're not actually using the data to violate assumptions of privacy or to violate assumptions of ethical use. So those two pieces are actually, in my mind, two sides of the same coin, and we have an obligation to both work internally on getting better at maintaining the sort of defensive posture to make sure that nothing happens unintentionally, of course, but at the same time, working much harder to lean into the importance of digital trust as really the coin of the realm going into the next decade.
Thanks so much, Lev. That's extremely important, this concept of trust. And, you touched on perceptions. We have time for just one more question. And so that final question is actually about a different kind of data monster, and that's public perception. As someone personally who wasn't born in the data community, but I got there as fast as I could, a data enthusiast now in recent years, there's this community and, this wonderful community of data professionals across ASU, but there's a whole legion of people who don't realize that they could be data professionals, or also maybe have some misconceptions about what the job entails or about privacy. What do you believe are some of the biggest data myths and common misconceptions out there that we have a kind of a social responsibility as a data community to help dispel or to help slay?
Well, Sam, I think that's sort of the heart of why this community, I don't know how many of you actually have data analyst in your job title, but at ASU, we have literally 700 or 800 professionals who contribute every day by using data to advance to success in their job, which typically means in service of some other outcome that we're out, that we're trying to aspire to. And just like last month, we underscored that cybersecurity was not just for
the Zoom meeting, so
cybersecurity professionals, but also that cybersecurity was everybody's responsibility. I think, Sam, the same thing can be said as we continue to evolve and understand that the circle of people, the community of practices, the ecosystem around data is actually much, much broader than just those of us who actually have data analysts in our title. We who do, we are we have an opportunity to help lead, to help imagine that future of much broader use. But again, I think going into the future, we are all going to find ourselves not only faced with more data, but the need to regularly engage with and really engage our conversations to be informed by science, to be informed by data, to challenge others to use data. What is the source of that assertion? Can we work better together to create a more consistent and intentional approach to again, the many different ways in which data are consumed and published and utilized on a daily basis. And again, as I've been saying throughout this little Ask Lev Anything, I really do believe that the sort of radical democratization of data comes with huge responsibility. And I think that's your point in the way you framed the question. It's not just about the ease of hitting a keystroke in an operational executable file to actually get data to come out. But we have huge responsibility to use the data carefully, to use the data intentionally, to ask those who have deep domain expertise whether or not there is prima facie validity to the outcome that we're engaging with, whether there is internal validity by using various statistical tests to make sure that we're being consistent. So again, we shouldn't just assume because all of us are consuming data that we are all using it necessarily with the same degree of insight into the power of the data. And that is I think, my last comments to you this morning, to all of you, is it does involve huge responsibility, and I hope you take it seriously to help educate us, because the consequences of the way in which data are shared and presented lead to decisions, and decisions have consequences for people in the real world every day. And with that, I think we are all in some ways humbled by the importance of using data in both intentional and ethical ways. And your contribution as a community is the bedrock of ASU in that area. And I thank you for all of the contribution that you make in that area. And I ask you to remain vigilant as professionals to the consequences of the use of data to support ASU and its mission going forward.
Thank you so much, Lev. With great power comes great responsibility, and put our capes on today we shall. And we're really here, to educate and learn from each other, and then amplify those findings back into the greater community. So there were a bunch of questions that we threw at Lev today. And then there were a few things, putting my communications hat on, I was really hoping that we would touch on today. So now I'm going to ask Elizabeth to share our next slide, the in case you missed it, or in case we missed it, rather. We talked a lot about transparency. We even threw in some websites that everyone should be checking out that sort of give a sense of the analytics across the community. One of those items is the key data dashboard. A number of people here today have contributed to this or contributed to the work that leads to this data. This has really become our place that we go to, our central location, as we're collecting data and sharing data about what's going on in this new modality, the remote one initially, and then the hybrid one. So not only is there information on this dashboard about how people are engaging with Zoom, for example, and how many minutes we're consuming, there's also data around how many calls are being handled by the Experience Center, the subject matter of those calls. And what's so great about having that sense of visibility and transparency across the community is it enables greater agility and adaptation to meet community needs. And the link to the data dashboard is over there. So thank you to everyone who's contributed to that view. Next, in case we missed it, by the numbers. And so as a community, we're getting a lot better at telling stories with numbers because every data point reflects a story. So quarterly, at least at UTO, we kind of step back and take stock of the stories our numbers are telling us, what they're telling us about how people are learning and engaging with their learning environments, how we're serving our community with our digital backpack and digital briefcase technologies and tools, how we're protecting our community, and how we're helping us take the step further from surviving and into thriving, especially in this pandemic. There's the link to grab your copy. We regularly are adding, or at least quarterly, adding updates there. And so it's also about storytelling. And so as data professionals and enthusiasts here today, be thinking not only about the data, the approaches to gathering, protecting, and securing data, but thinking about the stories that live behind the data and how we can even get better at tracking and telling those. So here's one example. I know, Brandy, you possibly wanted to speak to about the total analytics portal visits.
Yeah, so this is kind of follows right along with some of the comments that Lev shared with us about, we're bigger than just the few hundred people who have the title analyst in their job descriptions. We had almost 250,000 visits to the analytics portal just in the last quarter. And that's a lot more than just a couple hundred folks going out. That's really the central location for people to get into data and see reporting and data sets from partners and contributors and data monster slayers from across the community and across departments, and really transcend some of those departmental silos that we see, and is another wall that we can storm, right, as we encounter data from across the community. And it's really wonderful to be able to share that with our partners and with this team, and to be able to continue to empower our data monster slayers through products and through this information.
Well, thanks. And I know I just want to again thank Lev tremendously for spending some time with us today and being such a good sport for our very first and hopefully not last Ask Lev Anything.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Agreed. Thank you, Lev. And now I would like to take a moment to introduce one of our fearless, tireless, indomitable monster slayers, and Mike Sharkey. Mike, would you come speak to us?
Sure thing. Hey folks, how are you? Good morning, and thanks for being here. Always excited to see such a good showing in our data community here. I'm gonna talk for a little bit about the state of the union of the UTO data team. Feel free to keep the chat going in Zoom. I'm a big fan of peanut gallery snarky comments, so fire away there. Also, really want to thank Lev for that last point when he talked about really humanizing the data and storytelling, and need to make sure that, it's very easy to get lost in data and just see sort of matrix green screen numbers falling down the screen, and forget that these are human beings, our students, our colleagues here. And so it's always nice to keep that reminder in place. So before I get started with the State of the Union, I really want to give a big shout out to the organizing team. So let's hear it. Let's get some screen reactions and some cheers and some comments for the whole team here. This is the 4th year of the data conference. You see Kristen on there. Kristen actually started this 4 years ago within UTO. It has grown every year since. This year has been interesting that we are not bound by space, so we don't have to buy lunch for everyone and squeeze them into rooms in the MU. And I'm really looking forward to what this means. But thank you so much, team. You all have done an amazing and tireless job with what you've done in this conference, and we're off to a great start here. So thank you there. Next, so the UTO data and analysis team. So first of all, for those of you who I haven't met Mike Sharkey, so I work for Lev in UTO, and I manage the data and analysis team. Data analysis is one of the core parts of UTO, along with the other ones you see there. This has been part of an organizational change over the last few months. I really want to thank Lev for giving me the opportunity to trusting me to lead this part of the group. And I want to give a really special thanks to John Rome. Most of you know John Rome. John Rome's been the ASU data guy for a very long time, and he's working on strategic partnerships now within UTO. And he is a good friend of mine, and he has set me up well for success because of the team that he's put together over the years. So John, I wanted to make sure I thank you for that. So what is the data team? The data analysis team is made up of a few different components. And really, we're here to support ASU and support the data needs that you have. We know that across the university, our job is to promote student success and to run our university. We want to do what we can to help support you all in that goal. So we're very happy to be either on the front end or behind the scenes of making things happen. Some of these departments here work on the front end, building nice visualizations and reports. Some are behind the scenes doing some data plumbing and moving data from point A to point B. You can see what some of these teams handle. I'll call out a couple here. Brandy has the data success team. So they make sure things are running with Alteryx and Tableau. They're there for help, for consults and support. And they do a phenomenal job of making sure all of our customers have what they need. Elizabeth runs the data solutions team. These are the folks that are doing reports and visualizations, and I will stand behind every person in this team. They are just rock stars in the analysis they do, the designs they do. I just am so happy to have all of these visualization folks as part of the team. We have some data architecture down there. Josh heads that up. I'm not sure with Josh. I think going on the Reddit thread, I think Josh thinks we give out karma points if you're the first one to answer questions in the Where's the Data Slack channel. I don't know if anyone's told him that's not the case, but shh, don't say anything because he adds a lot there. And by the way, quick sidebar, is anybody else a data or plural guy? Like it should be where are those data, not where's the data? That's me. I can't help it. I'm a data plural. Good, Gustavo, thank you. A couple others on there. I know we're out there. We'll have support group meetings on Zoom at 5 o'clock every day. That'll be great. The data governance team, Lev mentioned Calibra. Actually, Kelly Briner and the data governance team are going to be presenting at the conference. I think they're doing their best to unseat Josh as the go-to source for data information. Josh is the ask a human way of doing it. And I think Kelly and the team are trying to codify all that into Calibra. So we'll see how that battle goes. All the other teams, Delaney, Lisa, Jason, running each of these groups, just a wonderful group. So thanks for being part of this. So what I want to do is give an update on some of the monsters we've slayed. It's been a good year. The first one that Lev touched on, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about, is health check reporting. This is a huge part of what we do, as all of us know, for doing our check-ins every day. Thank you very much for doing that. We have 60,000 students, 15,000 staff doing our health checks. And the team here has done all the reporting around that. So we have reports that have shown up in Dr. Crow's blog posts to the community about health check. They show up in executive meetings to the ASU execs who meet every day. And it's just very happy we could do this. I was slacking with someone the other day who was having some problems with their health check. And they made the comment to me, said, hey, sorry that you guys have to do this. Kind of a sympathetic note to us, like, sorry, you guys got stuck with this cruddy job. And I actually replied, I said, you know what, we don't look at it that way. Like, we're happy and fortunate that we could play this role in the health and safety of the ASU community. Yeah, we don't like sending nagging emails out to folks and making mistakes when somebody checked in, but we didn't see that and they get an email when they shouldn't. We know that happens, but we are honestly very happy to be part of that, where we could say to this community that, you know, we are doing our part to help us be safe and secure in these days. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful monster that we've slayed in the last few months. Data warehouse moving to Redshift. So this is a big thing. Our Oracle data warehouse is moving over to Amazon Redshift. Jason Green and his wonderful team of data movers and modelers have been doing this for months, and they're more or less all the way there. We see some incredible performance and cost benefits of moving to Redshift. And so as folks start to migrate and stop making that connection to the Oracle and make that connection to AWS and your favorite data tool, that's been a really big change. It's one of those behind the scenes, folks won't really know about it, but when you start seeing things run smoother, that'll be a good indicator. And then this last monster, Tableau and Alteryx. So this is actually a bit of a hydra, a bit of a multi-headed monster. The usage on Tableau and Alteryx has gone way up. And what that means is these tools we provide to the community allows you all to look at data, analyze, present, blend, slice, dice. And that's a huge thing. We see the numbers, we see how many folks are using it, we see how many reports are run. That means that we are fulfilling a need for folks to be able to get the information that they need. However, like I said, this is a multi-headed monster. When we look at the data monsters ahead of us that we have yet to slay, the performance of Tableau and Alteryx shows up there. So here we are sort of a victim of our own success. Because folks are using it so much, we're starting to see delays in the mornings when jobs are queued up and people are trying to get their information. We've actually been doing a good job. We haven't quite slayed the monster, but we got a few good cuts in. We've been optimizing, cleaning up, and we're actually also investing. So Alteryx server and Tableau server, we are in the middle of the process of spending money to improve those servers and increase the number of cores in those servers. A lot of times it's just a simple math game. You've got 20 jobs in the queue and you can only handle 2 or 3 at once, so things get backed up. We're going to add more cores to increase our throughput on that. And so Alteryx is in process right now. Tableau server is coming in the next few weeks. I might have to go with my hat out to Lev for a couple extra bucks to throw in there, but I think we got it covered. So thanks to everyone for the patience. We're very aware that this monster pops his or her head up many mornings during the week, and we think we've got a good approach solution to it. We mentioned Kleber a couple of times, right? The data dictionary, knowing what data are where, is a huge part of this. And no matter how great Josh is, which he is, we want to be able to democratize that more. And so we're looking for this network effect. So as we get subject matter experts from different parts of the university to contribute, that it becomes more valuable. So right, the network effect, the more nodes you have, the more valuable the system is. So Kelly and Tori and Travis have been doing a great job, and you'll hear more about that during the conference this week. And then there's one more monster. It's probably our biggest, most daunting monster. And it's, oh, no, it's not Baby Yoda eating Frog Lady's eggs. That's not what it is. Which, by the way, I don't even think that's a monster. I mean, Baby Yoda was hungry. There's like a couple of dozen eggs in there, and that's not even a real thing. So I'm going to skip right past Baby Yoda because that's not a monster. I'm talking about retiring by reports. That's our big monster on the horizon. So we have a lot of reports being generated there. We're looking by June of 2021 to retire that. We know it's not a small thing. The last thing we're going to do is interrupt everyone's ability to report on and manage data. So the team has already started working with customers and getting input. So that's one that I'm hoping will be slayed by the end of the fiscal year. So from my standpoint, I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys get a good view of what's going on within the data analysis team. Please feel free to reach out to me or any of the leaders or members of the team. We're all very open and we love it when we get comments and questions from you all. So thank you there. And I am going to transition into introducing our keynote speaker. So I will be around the whole day and through all the conference, so please feel free to message me, Slack me, email me, but I appreciate your time and hearing how we're doing, and thanks to the entire data analysis team for all of your tireless work. You all are awesome, and I'm happy to be coworkers with you all.